We're at Alfi Mashay, a Jewish city called by some as a settlement in Samaria, or the West Bank from the Arab point of view. And we're overlooking from Tel Aviv all the way to Netanya and Ben Gurion. And if the Israelis have to go back to the green lines, this would be Arab land right here, overlooking all of that, and Iran would be here with an outpost in about a week.
We're standing now in a place, the place is called Alfi Menashe. It's an Israeli, very small town, we call it, some people are calling it the Israeli towns and villages in the West Bank. Settlement is not a bad word in Hebrew. I know that the connotation in the world is another connotation, but here in Israel, settlement is not a bad word, but we are calling the villages and the Israeli towns in the West Bank. So we are now inside Judea and Samaria. We are in the Samaria area. In a minute I'll open a map, and we can see from here is the rest of Israel. As you know, Israel is a very small country. If you put the map of Israel on the map of the United States, it's almost 400 times. We are just at the size of New Jersey. All Israel, the size of New Jersey. We're making a lot of noise, but really we're very, very small. This is the Negev. So this is what we call the narrow neck of Israel. So Israel all the time have to be sure that no foreign army can come from the east and cut Israel to two. That's what they tried to do in '67. The Iraqi army came from the East Bank through Jordan and just came here, and they tried to cut Israel to two. Of course, today we are here, and I'll talk about you. You don't have to be frightened about anything. I want to show you, you can see this blue spot here. This is the Ben Gurion airport. I don't want to frighten you, but it's less than 9 kilometers from here to the Green Line, or to the West Bank. So we have to be sure that no one will launch a missile toward a plane that comes to Israel, and this is part of the things that we, the army, have to care about all the time. And tell you a little bit where we are and what we can see from here. A little bit north to Netanya, we can see from here Hadera, and if you have good eyes, you can see the chimneys of the Israeli power station near the seashore in Hadera. We are getting down from Hadera to Netanya. From Netanya, we're getting to Kfar Saba, Herzliya, the high buildings there that you can see in the horizon. This is 24 miles. So one cannon here can dominate all this area. So if Israel will withdraw from this area in the future, and there will be no security arrangements that we can be sure that no foreign army will be here, nobody can live in these areas. And even you have to understand that 80% of the Israeli population is living from Hadera to Gedera. It's something like that. 80% of the Israeli infrastructure is in that area. So all the time, this area is so important for Israel. You saw the airplanes that are coming here because they have to land in Ben Gurion, so they have to turn over to land there. So every plane that comes here is doing it above this city here. This city that you can see down here is Kalkilia. That's a Palestinian town down here. We'll see it when we'll be close to it. But Israel have to be sure all the time that we can dominate this area and be sure that no foreign army can come here. And therefore, in any condition or in any future agreement, we have to be sure that no foreign army can cross the Jordan River and come to these dominate areas that can control all Israel from here. Okay, it's not a matter of agreement, it's a matter of being sure that no other army can come here. And therefore, when Arik Sharon made the plan of where to put the Israeli towns and villages in the West Bank, he chose these areas. First of all, that there were no Palestinian village here. We didn't take any private Palestinian lands. And this area dominate and can control everything inside Israel. So, when the government sent me to build the security fence, and later I'll tell you how it had been, they said to me, try to find the right line that we can close the way of the terror from Samaria to the rest of Israel. So I tried to find the right line on the ground. All the time, I had to have the right balance between the security needs and the rights of the people that are living there. We didn't want to make a line, we are the army, we could do it, but we didn't want to build a line that will make the life of the Palestinians on the ground impossible. So all the time I had to find the right balance, find the right line of defense. Okay, I'll tell you later about the alternatives that I had here, but if you have questions, just here.
Yeah, Dan, just a statement. If Israel had to withdraw from here, how long before this would be an Iranian outpost?
Although we have today a peace agreement with Jordan, but as you know, Jordan is a very weak state. And our problem is how we can be sure that the Iranians will not cross Jordan and stand here. And the Iranians have another strategy. They are using a proxy. Like in Lebanon, they have there the Hezbollah. In Gaza, they have the Hamas. And we cannot be sure that the Hamas won't take over in the Palestinian future state, because we want it to be a democratic state, but in democratic state, you don't know what will be the future. So maybe it will take a week, maybe it will take a month, and maybe it will take a year, but it doesn't matter, because you're building something for the future, not for that. And therefore, when we are putting here Israeli villages or towns, this is something that is on the ground, and it will be here for the future. So when we'll draw the lines, this area will stay Israel. And therefore, all along this line that dominate the core of Israel, all this line, there are Israeli villages and towns in these areas that we can be sure that it will stay in our hands. Yeah.
Yes, Colonel, there's some concern in the United States, and I wanted to get your take on this from people that I speak to, that there could be the beginnings of a third intifada. You know, the attacks coming from Hamas. What is your assessment of that? Do you think that that's at all possible? Okay.
I'm not using the word intifada because it has a meaning in Arabic. I don't want to get into it. It's terror attack, I'll call it. Okay. We had the first terror attack. It was coming from bottom up. The second terror attack of 2000, it was designed by Yasser Arafat and his people. It was prepared for that, and it came from top down. Today there is a great problem, because most of the Palestinians, they prefer to live their own life. They don't have strong leadership. Unfortunately, we don't have someone that we can negotiate with, because the Palestinian leadership are playing about their weakness. They are using their weakness as playing in the game with the others. All the time they said, we are occupied, we are very weak. Everything you can blame Israel. No. They have to take responsible about what happens. So what happens these days in the north of Samaria, in Jenin and in part of Nablus, there are some young people that they say, we don't care about the Palestinian Authority. They are corrupt. We don't care about the Hamas. The Hamas are too religious. They are doing what Iran says to them. We want to be heroes. And when you want to be a hero and you are living in such condition, what you can show, that you can kill an Israeli and be shahid, be the man that made the duty as of the jihad, and being a hero means to kill an Israeli. And this is something that we have to stop. And therefore, when the Palestinian Authority is not entering their areas, we have to do it. As you know, we have camouflage soldiers. Or first of all, Israel have a very good intelligence. So if we get a piece of information about some Palestinian that intend to do something, if it comes from urban area like Zone A, like Kalkilia here or Nablus or other places, if it's come from urban area, usually we are not entering the area. We are letting this information to the Palestinian Secret Service or to the Palestinian police, but we are watching that they are doing their job. If it comes from Zone B or C that is under the Israeli security responsibility, we're working there. We catch these people, we bring them to court in Israel. If they found guilty, they are going to jail. If not, we're sending them back to the West Bank. Well, sometimes the Palestinian police don't want to do their job, like what happens now in Jenin and part of Nablus, so we have to do it. We have camouflage soldiers in our special units in the army that they know how to get very quietly inside the Palestinian areas, close around the house of the terrorists, and then call our forces. They are coming in, catching the terrorists and going out. We are doing it, but only with coordination with the Palestinian police, because we don't want to have friendly fire between our forces and their forces. Well, probably some of you saw Fauda. Well, Fauda is not a real story, but it's built on the story of these young soldiers that risk their life night after night, wearing clothes like Arabs, talk like Arabs, move like Arabs, make up like Arabs. We even put on them the smell of Arabs that the dogs won't bark, and they are risking their life, getting inside the Palestinian areas, catching these terrorists. Every night, between 5 to 20 terrorists are caught by these forces on the ground. So it's very effective. You know what happened to the language of the Palestinians? The language, you know, the Arabic is talked all over the Arab countries. A lot of countries are talking Arabic. And in every place there is another dialect of the Arabic. But here, because of the friction with Israel, they have a lot of Hebrew words inside the Palestinian Arabic. Okay? So although they hate Israel, or some of them hate Israel, they are using Hebrew names or Hebrew words inside their language.
Okay.